Hello everyone, Mary here. So if you are a language teacher, you know that one of our missions is to help students to get rid of the belief that grammar has to be boring. Today, I'm here to show you 3 activities that are going to make your students laugh while you're reviewing some punctuation and grammar points. Stay tuned. Okay, so no blah blah blah, let's just go straight into the first activity. So I'm going to share my screen with you and you are going to be able to see what I call the punctuation nightmare. So I use this activity for reviews or for warm-up. So let's say, for example, I talked about punctuation rules with my student last class, and then I'm going to use this one as a warm-up. So just for us to have a bit of a time, for students to get into English mood and to relax a bit and to have some fun. Okay, so what I do is I go to Google and I look for sentences. So funny sentences, funny punctuation sentences, or funny lack of punctuation. Well, just use these 3 words and you should be fine. And things like these things are going to come up. So for example, if we look into the second one here, we can see that they are saying toilet only for disabled, elderly, pregnant children, right? So if you read it without a comma, it gets a bit strange because you cannot be elderly and pregnant and a child at the same time. So it's clearly a problem, a problem of punctuation. Or if you read this one, for example, well, we can see there is a full stop here. So thank you, your donation just helped someone get a job. So it's obviously incorrect here. Okay, so we discussed this type of stuff. I asked them, so what do you think is wrong here? Can you read aloud so I can hear how it sounds? And basically they realize there's something wrong and they usually think this is quite funny. Okay, so we can do this with photos or we can do this with sentences. So I've got some sentences here, so I just ask them to read the sentence to me. So they say, for example, well, I like cooking my family and my pets. And I go, well, this is obviously wrong, right? Because you're not going to be cooking your family, are you? And they say no. So they have to tell me where the commas go, where the full stops go, and how they would fix this sentence. So we are going to learn to copy and paste kids or symptoms unable to eat diarrhea. Oh my God, that's just disgusting. Let's eat grandma or help a thief. Yeah, that's the worst one, I think. So yeah, it's just a moment, for them to recap a bit and to remember the things that you've taught them before and to have a bit of fun at the same time. Okay, so let's stop here for a minute because we have to talk about quizzes. So we all know that quizzes are valuable in education. I think they help learners retain information, build confidence, prepare for exams, and of course, they are fun. So I would like to share with you teachers this page called LearnClick. I've been using this for a while and it's basically a quiz creator. So it's very useful for language teachers as we can create gap filling exercises, well, also known as closed tests. We can see statistics, we can grade our students. So it's a very powerful tool for us to use in our lessons. Okay, so the page is very easy to use. The process of creating a quiz is very straightforward. So you just have to sign up and they are going to give you a week of free trial. And in my case, obviously, I've got my login. And once you get into the page, you're going to see an option to create a quiz. Well, the page is very intuitive. So let's say I'm talking to my students about idioms. So I'm going to give it a title and I'm going to make it visible to everyone with the option of recorded answers, which is an amazing tool, to see where your students are failing. So just to give you a very basic example, I'm going to add a question here. I'm going to use blank boxes and drop downs to begin with. So no pain, no gain. Remember, we are talking about idioms. So I'm going to highlight the word I want to hide, and I'm going to create a gap. And that's done. So let's try a second one just for you to see the options we've got here. So I'm going to go with drag and drop matching for the second one. So let's say, for example, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to hide benefit, I'm going to create a gap, and that's done. Right, so I'm going to save this one so you see how it looks. As soon as you press show quiz, link is going to be generated, so you can send this to your students. And if you want to see how your quiz looks like, you just have to open it, and well, we know the answers here, so no pain, no gain. The second one, obviously you can include more options. I've just done with one, and you can put it here and submit, and amazing, perfect, our score is 100%. Well done, guys. But when they do have a very fair pricing, so the good news is I partnered up with them, so I've got a link in the description, and if you choose to get the pro option and pay yearly, you're going to have 20 American dollars, towards your subscription. Okay, so this is valid until September 2021. Well, so getting back to the activities, the second one, I'm used to calling it analyzing jokes. So what I do is I look for jokes on the internet. They don't have to be good ones, if they're bad ones, it's even funnier because they're going to laugh at you, not at the joke. So I get things, for example, like this one. So why do we tell actors to break a leg? And the answer is because every play has a cast. So they have to read the joke. And first thing, of course, I'm going to see the reaction. So I'm going to know if they understood. And if they didn't, I will try to explain to them. There's nothing worse than explaining a joke, but anyway. And then we are going to analyze the grammar here. So I can ask them lots of questions. So for example, with this one, I can ask them why we've got this auxiliary here. Or maybe I can ask them why we are using the verb tell and we are not using the verb say or talk or speak. Because some students, they find it hard, to get the difference between these four verbs. Or maybe I can ask them, well, play is a verb, isn't it? So why is this being used as a noun here? So what's the meaning of it being a noun? And why we have has and not have? So we can just go through the jokes. We can find, loads of them on the internet. And of course, be careful with sensitive stuff, no polemic stuff or things that can be offensive, but just general ones. So look, I've got this one here. Hear about the new restaurant called Karma. There's no menu, you get what you deserve. Well, so I can ask them, is this grammatically correct? So why is this verb is in this tense? Or maybe I can ask them, what is this contraction? Or the verb get here, what's the meaning of the verb get in this sense? So we can talk about it and we can have fun at the same time. So there are loads of examples here. Look, I love this one. A woman in labor suddenly shouted, shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't, didn't, can't. Oh, don't worry, said the doctor. Those are just contractions. Okay, yeah, they are getting worse, I think. So what did the left eye say to the right eye? Yeah, between you and me, something smells. Well, this is very childish, I know. But remember, the focus here is grammar. Okay, so, and believe me, they like it, especially if it's as a warm-up again, or just at the end of the class, or just, something in the middle, just for them to relax a bit, because sometimes the topic is too serious and they are, oh my God, this is too boring. So yeah, you can just use it, as an icebreaker, but in the middle of the class. Well, you got me. So in this case, well, why are they using did? Well, what is the structure of a question? So how can we ask questions in English? So it depends on the level. You can ask different questions. You are going to know your student, and you know your student, and you are going to know what questions are more appropriate for them. But believe me, it's a nice one, very, very nice one. Well, and the last one for today is one of my favorite activities. I call it Find a Tense. So I love it because it's really easy to prepare, and at the same time, you can spend 1 hour on it because there are so many things to be analyzed. So what I do usually is to go on Google, look for fun sentences or just funny things, and you think it's funny. And let me just move myself from here. And then I'm going to ask the student, as always, to read aloud so I can hear the pronunciation. And I'm going to try to see if the student could understand what the sentencing means. And then I'm going to ask them to find something on the sentences. So look at the first one. I've changed my passwords to incorrect. So whenever I forget what it is, the computer will say your password is incorrect. So what I do is I ask the student to find, for example, find a sentence with a phrasal verb. So do you think they remember what a phrasal verb is? Yeah, maybe they are advanced, they know it very well, so they are going to say straight away, well, number 4, pull over and drive off. These are 2 phrasal verbs. Maybe they don't know, so you have to explain. So that's why I say you can spend a lot of time on it. It depends on the level and it depends on the questions that you ask. So can you please find a sentence with a present perfect on it? Well, it's the first one. So I have changed. So we've got the contraction there. So maybe they are not going to be able to identify because they see the contraction. So again, it depends on the student. It depends on the level. So can you please find a sentence with imperative? What the heck is imperative? So you can take your time to explain to them. So obviously this is not for beginners, absolute beginner students, because they're not going to know what you're talking about. And even intermediate or advanced students, sometimes they are not going to know the name of the structures, they are not going to know the name of the tenses, they don't know what is a past present, a past perfect or a present perfect. So and I think it's important to let the student know that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to sound natural, and to really know how to talk and to communicate. So that's the goal. The goal is communication. But remember that it's good to say they're up for a challenge, and these kind of games, they can help them with these communication skills that they need. Okay, so use it. Nice one. Very cool. And I'm sure they're going to love it. And that's it for today. So if you are a language teacher, don't forget that I've got loads of ideas on my channel. So you can find speaking ideas, writing ideas, you can find ways to find direct students, you can find TEFL courses, you can find loads of stuff. So don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and happy teaching.